Perfect. So we're going to get started in Command. At this point, you should have connected your DocuSign account to Command. And if you haven't, reach out to me and we can walk through that together. But for the sake of time, I want to spend most of our time in DocuSign and not Command. So from here, we're going to jump into our opportunities. And opportunities is our sales pipeline as well as our document management system that we use to house all of our documents, our buyer brokerage agreements, contracts, amendments, and where we submit to Lynn and Alita for compliance review. So I've already gone ahead and created a test opportunity today. So to get to that opportunity, so I'm currently in the Command home screen, I'll come over to the left-hand toolbar and click on the hand shaking, which is opportunities. And there are a handful of different ways you can get to this specific opportunity. For me, I prefer to click on all opportunities, and that will show all my list of opportunities that I have, regardless of the phase or stage that they're in. So I'll just come over here to 1234 Main Street that I've created right here. And you can see here is all the information that I added. I've named the opportunity. So it's 1234 Main Street. Tony Stark and Pepper Potts are my clients for today. And I actually incorrectly, I need to add Pepper Potts to my opportunity name. So I'll just quickly update that. So update this to Stark Potts and click save. When you're naming your opportunity, especially if it's a listing, I always recommend you have the address followed by the seller's last names followed by listing. And this is going to be a great way for you just to keep track of the opportunity, and really easy for the MCA office to make sure that any checks and documents that are affiliated with this opportunity are easily matched with it correctly. So I filled in all the information here. Here's my opportunity name. I'm the owner. Phase and stage. I have phase as active and stage as negotiations. And I mentioned this in the TCO3 training, but it's important that when you are submitting a contract to review, you have the phase as active and stage as negotiations. If you don't have those phases and that phase and stage, the MCA office won't be able to see your contracts and your documents. So you have to be sure that when you are preparing to submit, which we'll be doing today, that you have this phase and stage selected. I have my contact names. I filled in the estimated close date, agreement 1, contract date, close date. These are all made up for today's example. But the reason I went ahead and filled this in, because the more information you can add in Command, the more information that will be pulled into DocuSign. So up here, I've added my address, 1234 Main Street, Atlanta, Georgia, 30309. This will when you start typing in the address, it'll automatically populate. So 9 times out of 10, the property address that you're about to put under contract or list for sale will pop up. And then you can come down to the seller's worksheet and fill in this information as well. The more information you can add, the better. So once you have created your opportunity, you're good to go. Now you are ready to start sending out documents. So today we are going to be working on a listing. So I'll walk you through how to do the listing agreement as well as a purchase and sale. But in order to get to those documents, we have to click on the Documents tab of our opportunity. So click on the Documents tab there. And you can see here we have a empty list of documents that are going to be the most commonly used documents for transactions. So you can see here we have our listing agreement, legal description, community association disclosure. They're all empty at the moment. And these are going to be where we add the documents later on to submit for review. But we don't have any documents yet. And one thing I want to clarify is that one thing that's kind of confusing is a lot of people think that the GAR forms live in Command, and they don't. The GAR forms live in DocuSign, and that's where we edit them. That's where we send out for signature. Command is just where we upload those documents to submit for review, as well as house them So that way in the future, if you ever need to come back and reference a contract, it's all right here. So to get started in DocuSign, we are going to click on the Start a Transaction button right here in the top right-hand corner of the Documents tab within Opportunities. And I want to clarify, it's very, very, very important that when you are starting a transaction, that you start the transaction from within Command. You must hit the Start a Transaction button to go into DocuSign to ensure that this opportunity in Command and the room in DocuSign are linked. And that is what's going to give you the benefit of using DocuSign. If you start a room in DocuSign, you will not then be able to connect it to an opportunity in Command. And so you'll have to manually download the documents and then manually upload them. So always make sure that you start a transaction from within Command. So we still had a question, so let me double check this. Perfect. So I'm going to click on Start a Transaction, and this is going to open up a new browser tab in DocuSign. If you have a pop-up blocker on, it may prevent this new tab from opening. I've spoken with agents previously that couldn't even get this far because their pop-up blocker prevented DocuSign from opening. So just double check that if you have any issues. And then you will be asked to sign into DocuSign. So sign in with the account email address and password. Perfect. So now we are in DocuSign, and you can see I have a new room created. Up here, it's the same name, 1234 Main Street, Southeast - Stark Potts - listing, and that's the same name as the opportunity. You can see here my expected closing date is 7/31, and this is the information that got pulled in from Command, which is why I was saying it's so important. The more information you can add, the better, because that's the more information DocuSign will be able to use. You can edit the name of the room, but I think it's best to just leave it as is so it's the same as the opportunity, and it just makes sure that everything is streamlined and connected. DocuSign, when you start a room, is going to drop you into the Documents tab, but we are actually going to start in the Details tab. So to the far left, we'll click on the Details tab. And this is going to be where we add all of the information about our contacts, our clients, contact information, the address, sales price, all of that information that we want to be auto-populated into our GAR forms, we need to add here into the Details tab. Now, DocuSign does pull over a fair amount of the information from DocuSign, but it doesn't pull over everything. And truth be told, there are still some little issues here and there that we are finding out with DocuSign. So we want to make sure that all the information is correct. So to get started on editing the information on the Details tab, up in the top right-hand corner, we will click the Edit button. And then for everything, we'll just start at the top and work our way down. The way the Details tab is set up on the 2/3 of the left-hand side of the page is going to be all the information about the property. And then the right-hand column is going to be our actual client contacts. So we'll start on the left-hand side, work our way down, and then go to the right-hand side. So just fill in as much information as possible. So local currency, US dollars, we're not under contract. If you have the MLS ID number, you can go ahead and put that in here. One thing I do want to point out is, unlike .loop, DocuSign does not auto-populate information based on the MLS ID. So just want to go ahead and clarify that. And you can select origin of sphere, personal referral, room status, new listing. Perfect. So address, fill in your address here, 1234 Main Street Southeast, Atlanta, Georgia, Fulton County, select state, Georgia, postal code 30309, property type, residential detached, year built, let's just go with 2000, check special circumstances. For this, there are not any special circumstances. List date. So we can list it as the May 14th. Listing expiration date, we'll just do August 31st. Original list amount, I think I selected $525 for this. Current listing amount, $525, 1, 2, 3. Local listing amount, $525, and then $525. All right, so offer details. So let's say we just got an offer and we're about to go under contract. Actually, we'll just leave this blank for now, because then we can fill in a lot of the information later on when we get into the purchase and sale agreement and whatnot. So we'll just leave offer details blank, high bid confirmation, closing details. We'll do seller concession, list side commission, we'll do 3%, buyer side commission, we'll do 3%. Again, everything in real estate is negotiable. So I'm just adding in the common commission rates, but make sure that you put the correct amounts for whatever it is you've negotiated with your seller and or what's offered as the buyer. And then coming down, property details. If you have any of this information, you can fill it in. All right, so we've reached the bottom of the property information. So we're gonna go back to the top and work our way down the right-hand side. So the right-hand side of the details tab is where all the information about our clients is going to be. I don't know why it's formatted this way. It is, so we just work with it. So for today's example, I'm working in a listing. So I'm gonna fill in the seller information. So we can see here, seller 1, Tony Stark. This is the phone number I added in command and the email address. Perfect. I could add, the address here if I wanted to. So this is going to be, the address for, excuse me, for receiving notice, United States, state, Georgia, postal code 30309. I'm always going to recommend that you add more information than not. So seller 2 is Pepper Potts. Don't have a cell phone number in here for her. And here is the email address, which is going to be my personal email address, because I do want to show you later on the signature process. So my personal email address in here, and then I'll just add 1234 Main Street Southeast, Atlanta, United States, Georgia, and 30309. And then we'll scroll down and we'll fill in the listing agent 1. So I'm going to be listing agent 1, and this will pull in my information from command. So my name, my business phone number, my email address, our office. So 200 Glenridge Point, Suite 100. I like to have the suite information on address line 2. Fill in Atlanta, United States, Georgia, and this is 30342. Always go through and double check the information. 9 times out of 10, it's going to pull in the correct information out of command, but there's going to be those times where it doesn't pull it in correctly or doesn't bring in all the information like we just saw with the address for our office. So just double check it. Spend a fair amount of time on the details tab, because this is what's going to be pulled into all of your GAR forms. So if you can put it in correctly the first time up front, it'll save you a lot of hassle and having to edit things later on in the process. And the last thing I want is for you to be rushing to get out an offer. You're in a multiple offer situation and you're having to make a bunch of corrections later on down the process, which makes your offer less appealing. So double check all the information up front. So continuing to scroll down, listing agent number 2. So if you have a co-agent that you're going to list with, fill in his or her information here. Scrolling down, buyer 1. If you are representing the buyer, fill in the information here. And then as you, let's say you are going back and forth with the buyer's agent and you get their name, you can add their name here and it will start to auto-populate their names in the buyer or in the purchase and sale agreement. You'd fill in your buyer information here if you're the buyer's agent, buyer two information, buyer agent if you're the buyer's agent, and the buyer agent two. All right, so we have successfully added all of the details and all the information that we have. As we learn more information throughout the transaction, we can always update this and add more information or make any changes to it. So once we are done adding the information to our details tab, in the bottom right-hand corner, we will select Save. So the room details have been updated, so we are good to go. Now our next step is to go to the Documents tab, and this is going to be where we start to add our GAR forms. So our buyer brokerage agreements, our listing agreements, our purchase and sale, any exhibits, amendments, all will be added here in the Documents tab. I just want to warn you ahead of time, it's very different setup from .loop. So as we're going through the process, try your best not to try to overlay the process and terminology of .loop into DocuSign because they're very different. It's apples and oranges. So it'll just kind of make things a little bit easier for you if you don't try to retrofit .loop onto DocuSign. In the documents room, everything's going to default to the room docs folder. You can create your own folders in this documents tab if you want. Some agents want to be really, really, really organized. Others don't care. To be honest with you, it doesn't matter. Lynn and Alita don't look at your rooms, so it can be as messy as you want. As long as everything is uploaded properly into Command, your room can look however you want. But since I do know that some people want to have folders, I'll show you how to add folders and organize your documents in the folders. So we'll come to Actions in the top right-hand corner and then select Add Folder. And today we're working on a listing, so I will do listing documents as the folder name because I want to separate my listing documents out from my purchase and sale documents. So now you can see I have a listing documents folder and then I have my standard room documents folder. Now I do want to clarify that every document and when it's added to the room or when something is fully signed and executed, it will default into the room docs folder. So you will have to move those documents later on. All right, so now we've created our listing documents folder. Let's start to add our GAR forms. So to do that, we will click the plus add button up here in the right-hand corner. Click Add. From here, from the drop-down, we're going to select DocuSign forms. But I do want to point out that here's where you also add documents from your computer. So if you receive a PDF from the buyer's agent and you need to upload it for signature or anything, you'll do that here. You can also add forms if you've saved any in Box, Dropbox, or Google Drive. I would recommend that you more or less just focus on DocuSign forms because those are going to be all the GAR forms that you'll need. So to do that, click DocuSign forms. And the screen will kind of go gray and a pop-up window here will show up. I do want to point out if the screen goes to gray for a while, for like a minute or two, it'll seem like it is frozen. It hasn't. We don't know what happened, but sometimes the forms take a minute to load. Give it time. I've noticed over the last couple of weeks, things are loading much more quickly, so I think we should be good to go, but I just want to point that out. In the event that you think it's broken or frozen, it's not, you're good to go. If this is your first time in DocuSign, your screen will look a little bit different than mine. It'll ask you to confirm your realtor association. And so what you'll do here is you will select the realtor association. Then it's going to ask you for your NRDS number. You more than likely don't have your NRDS number memorized. I don't blame you. There's a little link below that says look up your NRDS number. If you click on that, a new tab will open and then you can search for your number based on your license number, your last name, your email address. There's a handful of different options. Search for that, and it will pop up your number. Copy that number, come back into the DocuSign tab, and paste that number into the pop-up box, and then select submit. Then it will have you select the association you are a member of, which is going to be the Georgia Association of Realtors. You have to scroll through a lot of other associations to get to the GAR Association. Select Georgia Association of Realtors, and then click submit. This is going to let DocuSign know that you are an active member of the Georgia Association of Realtors, the National Association of Realtors, and you have paid to have the right to use these GAR forms. These forms are copywritten, so you have to be a member. If for whatever reason you have trouble confirming your NRDS number, more often than not, the reason for the error is going to be that the name that is in DocuSign does not match your name that the National Association of Realtors have. So whether you're missing a middle initial, or you have a middle initial, or you've gotten married, you have a different last name, there's a period with initial or whatnot, usually it's a small difference between the two names, so it doesn't confirm that you're the same person. You can easily edit that in your settings in DocuSign, and I'm also happy to help you walk through that, so that way you have the access to the DocuSign forms. So once you have confirmed your NRDS number and you click add, this is the screen that will show up for you. At the top, it'll say you'll have two drop-down menus, add DocuSign forms, and we are going to select the DocuSign forms library, and then select library. We will scroll down to the Georgia Association of Realtors. I don't know why the Greater Alabama MLS forms show up. Avoid it. Don't use it because those are not our forms. Always select GAR forms. And now a list of every single available GAR form will populate, and we can search for our forms. As you start to play around in DocuSign, start to familiarize yourself with the actual form number. It's going to make it much easier for you to select the correct forms. So I'm going to search for the exclusive listing. So, all right, so here I'm trying to find the exclusive listing agreement, and I search exclusive L. So we have our commercial leasing, exclusive leasing listing, exclusive leasing management agreement, exclusive non-leasing. So those aren't the forms that I want. So I'll just search listing agreement. And you can see here, I have a ton of options here. So you just want to start to familiarize yourself with the right one. So we are going to select F101 exclusive seller listing agreement. All right. I know I'm also going to need the community association disclosure. So we have our GAR F322. And as I select these forms in the bottom left-hand corner, it'll say 2 forms selected. And that's going to be how I know the total number of forms that I've selected. I'm also going to go ahead, I'm going to add the purchase and sale. All right. And this is F201. I've memorized that one, so we'll select that. One thing I do want to quickly clarify for you, I know I just added the community association disclosure. Since the community association disclosure and the seller's property disclosure are 2 documents that technically our sellers fill out, we're having some issues with the mapping of the form fields. So I'm working with Michael New to come up with a solution for you. So at the moment, DocuSign is set up for you to fill in that information. And Lynn and Alita will tell you, and I'm not a compliance broker, nor am I a lawyer, but those are forms that our clients need to fill out. We never want to be on the hook for any of that information, because if anything is incorrect, that could affect the sale of the property, and it could also cause our clients to have to pay some penalties or fees that we incorrectly left off the document. So we do not want to fill in the community association or seller's property disclosure. At the moment, what I would recommend is that you print out those documents or save as PDF and send them to your clients to fill out with pen and paper, and then you can scan it back in and add it that way. Michael New and I are working on that solution, so we'll be able to share that with you soon. I just wanted to call that out as we go through here. I did add the community association disclosure because I do just want to show the difference in updating the different documents, but just know that as you start to work with sellers. All right, so I've added 3 documents here. I'll select add, and then my room will refresh, and I'll see that I've added these 3 documents here. Now I created my listing documents room, or my folder, sorry. So I want to add the 2 documents that are going to be part of my listing documents folder. So to select those, to move them, roll your mouse over the document, and then a circle will appear in the top left-hand corner. So just check that circle. And when you do that, a toolbar at the top will appear. And this will be how we move them. So I also want to select the community association disclosure document. So I'll select that. And then up here, I'm going to scroll over the icons of the toolbar to where I get to the icon that says move. It's a document with an arrow in it. But if you roll over them, a little pop-up will show you what it actually is. So select move, and then we're going to select our destination. So I'm going to select folder in current room because we want to keep it within this 1234 Main Street room, and then select folder destination, and I'm going to move it to listing documents, and then select move, and it will refresh and show that my community association disclosure and listing agreement have been moved into my listing documents folder. And then my purchase and sale are in my room docs. All right, so let's start by filling out some forms. And we are going to walk through filling out these forms. It'll only take a few minutes, but I want you to get comfortable and familiar with what the forms look like and what we see as agents to fill them out. So to edit a form, just click on it, and a window will pop up with this form with the editable fields. Perfect. So you can see here at the top, some of the information has been automatically added. So we have 1234 Main Street in Atlanta, Fulton County with a zip code. And then, the rest of the information is blank. So you'll just have to go through and manually add it. So this is kind of what I was saying, before. DocuSign doesn't add in all the MLS information that .loop does, so we do have to manually add it. I'm going to go through and fill it in. So for here, I'm going to select deed, book, and page. It's just a personal preference of mine. I find it pretty simple to do. So I'll fill in that information. Listing period. So we listed yesterday on the 14th. You do have to manually add the dates here, unlike .loop that have the date feature. You just have to type it in. But one thing that I love about DocuSign versus .loop is that you can click tab to go from one field to the next, which you were unable to do in .loop. So I can just, click, I typed in 5/14, and then the ending agreement will last for 6 months. So we'll just do November 14, 2020. And then I can click tab, and that'll take me to the next box, which is the list price of $525. And then I'll come over here to negotiation. Seller does have the right to negotiate. Fill in marketing. I'm just gonna FMLS, Georgia MLS, and KWLS. As we're filling in this information, I do just want to clarify, this is not a class on how to legally fill in this information. I just want to show you how to use the document. Any information that I input here is just for example, and please double check with Lynn and Mike if you have any specific questions on how to fill in your specific documents. So scrolling through, commission, box 6, so we'll select 3% here, and then we'll need to come over here and fill in that the broker agrees to pay, cooperating broker, and add 3% here. Protected period, put in 90 days. So you just really simple, just filling in the blank boxes. We'll select independent contractor. We do not have offer dual agency and sub agency. Now I want to point out here on the bottom of page 1 of the GAR form, there's this text that says this form is copyrighted and may only be used in real estate transactions in which blank is involved as a real estate licensee. This is for our name to go in here. At the moment, it's not mapped to have anything input here. So we do have to manually add a text field in the envelope later on. So I just want to call that out because this will be the same on the bottom of the first page of every GAR form. So we'll continue to scroll through. No special circumstances, thankfully, for this sale. Continuing to scroll through. Just double check, look for any fields that you need to select or fill in information. Thankfully, most of it's on the first page. So we will continue to scroll through. Still scrolling, still scrolling. All right, now we get to brochures. So select any of the brochures that, that you are going to send to them. All of the brochures are included in DocuSign, so you can search them by these form numbers. And then select any exhibits or addenda, any special steps, seller to leave utilities on throughout transaction. Add whatever you want here. Another great thing that DocuSign has versus .loop is that you can't delete these text boxes. So many times for myself, when I was typing in those text boxes in .loop, I would accidentally hit Shift Delete and it would delete the whole text box, and I have to go through and manually retrofit a new text box, which wasn't a big deal, but it's just kind of a pain in the butt. So you don't have to worry about accidentally deleting any of these text boxes in DocuSign. So scrolling down, all right, you can see here, all of my clients' information has been added. It included their address because I included that in their seller's information on the details tab. And it does include their email address, which for the listing agreement is fine. And then we will scroll down. We can see perfect. The listing broker's name is there. My name is here correctly. Just fill in the rest of the information to the best of your ability. I recommend fill in everything because it's less likely that you are going to get any feedback from Lynn or Alita. Perfect. So MLS office code KWFA01, brokerage license firm H-33313, fax number 404 531 5700. Perfect. All right, so we don't want the Suite 100 to go there. Let's put it back up here so it's easier to read. All right, so we have filled in all the information. Everything looks good to go for our listing agreement. Once you've filled in everything, click Save and Close. All right. So now let's look at the community association disclosure. Because this is what I was telling you earlier, is currently it's mapped for us to fill in the information when we want this to be something that the seller fills in. Okay. So you can see here we have the date information, the address. Perfect. All right. Actually, they may have updated this, which is great news because I'm not able to select any of this information. So this is great. I think they've updated it. Perfect. Well, I'm glad we were able to discover this together this morning. Again, at the bottom of page 1, just pointing out that we'll need to add our name here for the copyrighted information. So just got a question, how do you sign the document? So we will get to that part. Right now, we are filling in all of the information on all the documents, and then we'll walk through the process to create an envelope and then send for signature. We will do all of that this morning. So scrolling through, this is great. I'm so pleased that they have updated this document because we don't want to be on the hook for anything that is incorrectly left off. Perfect. So we don't need to add anything, just click save and close. And then I'm also going to walk through filling in the purchase and sale agreement, because this may be the single most important document you use in your real estate career. I want you to win all those offers, and I want to make sure that you have the best offer out there. So starting at the top, so offer date, so we'll select today's date, so 5/15/2020, and just continuing to fill in the same information. So I like to do deed book and page. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, perfect. So purchase price. We'll do a purchase price of $520 because it's listed at $525, but just so we have a difference, we'll just add some different numbers in here. So seller's contribution to closing cost $3,000. Closing date, let's do 7/30/31/2020. We'll take possession at closing. Holder of earnest money, Keller Williams, First Atlanta. Tab over to our closing attorney. So we are going to select our friends at Campbell and Brannon, the Glen Ridge office. Earnest money, we'll do $5,000 within 3 days of binding. Due diligence, 10 days. Lead-based paint. I selected this house was built in 2000, so we don't need to include the lead-based paint. Perfect. All right, so we come down here to paragraph 10. And one thing I want to point out, as you see here, for myself, listing broker is listed as my name. So this is an incorrect mapping of the information. And it's because in some states, this part of the document has the agent's name. In the state of Georgia, we want it to show Keller Williams First Atlanta. So just update this information here, Keller Williams First Atlanta. Now, one thing that's unique about DocuSign is that when you update any piece of information in a document, it will automatically update that information in the details tab. So I've updated here where it had my name to Keller Williams First Atlanta. So it's going to incorrectly update the details tab to have my name as Keller Williams First Atlanta. It's frustrating. I've worked with Hutch. He knows about it, so that way we can get DocuSign to update this mapping, but always update it to say Keller Williams First Atlanta. And then we'll select representing as a seller as client. And anywhere through the future documents that there may be any issues, we can adjust accordingly. Oh, perfect. So someone pointed out in paragraph 7, I forgot to check, earnest money will be paid by check. Thank you very much. All right, scrolling down. So listing broker is Keller Williams First Atlanta, representing as client, and we will select selling broker as Harry Norman, and they are representing as a client. Material status, none. Time limit of offer, let's do 5, tab over PM on the date of 5/16/2020. And then again, pointing out the copyrighted information text at the bottom of the first page of this GAR form. So you can see here how simple that was to fill in the missing information. I'd say about a third of the information is auto-filled in from the details tab, and we have to fill in the rest. Just make sure you're very diligent and double checking, just like someone caught that I missed that check for paragraph 7. Double check that everything is checked, selected, filled in correctly. So scrolling down, everything on page 1 is good. And then we'll go down to the exhibits and special steps. And if you haven't taken Alita's contract class, I highly recommend it. She's the one that taught me how to write a contract, and I feel really confident in it. And she's also teaching most Monday mornings. She's having classes going through any updates to the GAR forms. I think this coming week she's going to talk about contingencies. So I really recommend that you check out her classes on Monday mornings as well. So here we're going to select our exhibits. So we have our community association disclosure will be A, and then I'm going to select seller's property disclosure. I'm going to make this exhibit B. Special stipulations, seller, I know I'm representing the seller, but just having fun. Seller to do what, to do whatever the buyer asks, and then seller's property disclosure to be added as exhibit B within 24 hours of binding. If I could add the S correctly. So since I don't have the seller's property disclosure at the moment, I'm just going to add this, and that way I don't have to do an amendment or anything. So those are my special stipulations. Just type them in. It's super easy. Scrolling down, if you have any additional special steps that are attached, if you are adding a ton, make sure you select this box here. Scrolling down. All right, so we have our seller's information here. Now, I don't want, well, I guess I can leave my seller's address in here because the buyers know the address because they're about to put an offer in it. But because I have included my seller's email addresses in the details tab, it's going to auto-populate here on the purchase and sale agreement. I personally, as an agent, do not like sharing my client's contact information with the co-op agent. 9 times out of 10, the co-op agent is going to be fine and respectful of my relationship, but I don't want to wait around for another agent to kind of try to go around me and talk directly to my clients. So theoretically, you would want to delete that information here, but as I mentioned earlier, if you change anything or delete anything out of a document, it's going to automatically delete that information out of the details tab. And thus, we won't have an email address for our contacts to send the documents to for signature. So what I recommend is leave the email address in the purchase and sale agreement or any other document that will be shared with the co-op agent. And I will show you how to block that information out in the envelope, so they will not be able to see the email address. But I just wanted to point that out because that is a big concern for most agents. So scrolling down, everything looks good for Tony Stark. Everything looks good for Pepper Potts. I have myself in here. It has Keller Williams First Atlanta as the broker. My name here, adding in my license number, fax number. So I just put the office fax number, so 531-5708, Atlanta. We are all members of the Atlanta Association of Realtors. Fax again, number here, 531-5708. MLS office code, KWFA01, and then license number H-33313. Now, if you know the buyer's agent information, I would recommend you fill in as much of it as possible here. It's going to be one less step for that agent to have to do when they fill in the document. And so it's something I always like to do, just so that if I'm in a multiple offer situation, they think, wow, Nick took that extra time to ease work on my behalf. Maybe he'll make this transaction more smooth, and I'll want to select his client's offer. Just some unsolicited advice. So I got a question. Let's see. Are Alita's contract classes recorded and posted somewhere? I don't know. I don't think she's been recording them, but I'll ask her about that to see if she can start recording them. But they are Monday mornings, and I think she's doing it every single Monday. And then periodically she does like a deep dive into like how to write a contract from start to scratch. All right, so we have reached the end of the purchase and sale agreement. I would recommend that here you go back to the top and just give everything a once over, make sure it looks good. But for time's sake today, I'm going to select save and close. All right, so we have filled out our documents. Now, the next step is going to be to send them to our clients for signature. Well, first, we have to add signatures and then send for signing for signatures. To do that, we have to create an envelope. And Michael New gave me this analogy, and it's been really helpful for me, so I like to share it, is think of an envelope as a literal manila envelope that you would put your contracts in to store them and place them on your desk and prepare to hand them to your clients for signature. So this is going to be what we use to contain those contracts or those documents to send for review and signature. There are two ways to create an envelope. The first way is in the documents room, in the documents tab, roll over the documents you want to include in your envelope. So for today, I'm going to send all of the documents, but if you are first filling out your room, it may just be your listing agreement and the exhibits, or it may just be your buyer brokerage agreement. So we'll select the documents. So just roll your mouse over, the circle will appear in the top left-hand corner, select it. Also, you'll notice that here I have not added the KWFA affiliated marketing disclosure or the wire fraud prevention disclosure. And that is because those are not GAR forms. We don't add them in the documents tab. Those forms do not have any bits of information to be completed or filled in by either myself or my clients. So they are added in the envelopes. I'll show you how to add those in just a minute. The documents tab is only to fill in GAR forms that you have to add information to. So I just want you to keep that in mind. So as you're starting to fill in your contracts over the weekend, you're submitting offers, that you're not confused that those two documents are not in the documents tab. So now that I have selected all three of my documents that I want to create an envelope for, I can come up here to the toolbar that appeared, and I can scroll over and come to where it says DocuSign. It's the image of the pen. I could select DocuSign, and that's going to take me right into the envelope, and it will have created an envelope for me. So that's the route number one. Or you can come up here to the envelopes tab and click on envelope. And it looks very similar. We do not have any envelopes, so we need to create a new envelope. So I will come to the top right-hand corner and select the plus new button. And this is going to create an envelope for me. So this is going to be the same screen that it would show up had I selected DocuSign previously when I had the three documents selected. So with everything, we will start at the top and we'll work our way down. So envelope name, I would recommend that you name each one of your envelopes something different. So when you first start working with your clients, you're going to be sending out the buyer brokerage agreement or the listing agreement. And then your next envelope may be the purchase and sale agreement. And then your next envelope may be your amendment to address concerns. So naming them what they actually are is going to help you organize your envelopes. So today I'm going to name this, 1, 2, 3, 4 Main Street Southeast listing agreement and purchase and sale. So you're never going to probably have these together, but just for today's example. So we have our name here. Now we're going to start adding documents to the envelope. So to do this, in this box here, I'm going to select Room Docs, the blue button. And this is going to open a tab of all the available documents that are in my room. So I just have 3 documents and I want to share all 3. So just come over here, roll over the box, check it, and select all the documents you want to include. So now I'm going to click Add Selected. And those have all loaded. And then as I promised you, here is where we add our affiliated marketing and our wire fraud prevention documents. So to add those to the envelope, come over to the box, and where it says use a template, select that. So click use a template. A window will pop up. We'll come over to the left and click on shared with me. And this is going to load a list of all of the templates that the MCA office have created and are sharing with us. So I'm going to scroll down to find the affiliated marketing and wire fraud prevention. Well, I see here I have buyer-affiliated marketing and buyer-wire fraud disclosure. And then I scroll down to the bottom and I see there's a seller-affiliated marketing and seller-wire fraud disclosure. They are the same they have the same information. However, because of the way DocuSign maps signatures, we have two different versions of them. So you need to add the version of these documents based on which side of the transaction you are working. So for me, I am representing the sellers, so I'm going to select the seller versions of these two documents. If you select the incorrect version, there will not be any place for your clients to sign, because I have filled in the seller's information on the details tab, and there isn't any information in for the buyers. So if I were to select the buyer's version of this document, nothing would load. So that's why it's very important that you select the correct version of these forms based on which side of the transaction you are working. So great question. What happens if your seller is also your buyer? They have to sign two forms for each transaction. No. So what you would do is, if you're having your clients and you're doing two different transactions with them, so you're selling their house and then also helping them buy a new house, just like you would in .loop, you would have two separate rooms in DocuSign. In the room for the listing, you would have them sign the seller version of the affiliated marketing and wire fraud. Then in the buyer's room, you would have them sign the buyer version. Now, if they have a big aversion to signing the same document twice, you could download the document that they have signed from the first room that you've created, which I imagine would probably be the listing, and then you could manually upload it to the buyer's room. But you would, I mean, that's your personal call. But yes, theoretically, they would have to sign the affiliated marketing and wire fraud documents twice based on the side of the transaction that you're working for them. Because you will need to include those documents when you submit everything for compliance for review. All right. So I have selected my seller version of the affiliated marketing and seller version of the wire fraud disclosure, and to click on Add Selected down here in the bottom left-hand corner. All right. So now we have all of our forms in our envelope, but I want to make sure that my clients are signing these forms in a specific order. I want them to sign their listing agreement and then their affiliated marketing and wire fraud before they sign the purchase and sale agreement. So you can reorder them, and you have to do that here. So to reorder the documents, just click on it and drag it to the position that you want. So we'll have our exclusive listing agreement, and then we'll have our community association. Then we'll want to do our affiliated marketing disclosure, and then our wire fraud prevention notice. Let's move that. That did not work. All right, perfect. So here you see now we have our listing agreement, then our CAD, then our affiliated marketing, then our wire fraud, and then our purchase and sale. And that's the order that I want my documents to be signed in, because I want to make sure that I actually have the right to list this house before I actually sell it. So now we have those forms in the right order. So now we'll scroll down and we will add recipients to the envelope. To do this, click on the Add Recipient drop-down menu, and then we are going to select pre-tagged roles. So this is how I was telling you in the Details tab, I added, Seller 1 and Seller 2. This is going to make sure that it pulls in the correct name for each one of the places for a signature based on these pre-tagged roles. So I'll select pre-tagged roles, and this window is going to pop up, and it gives us the option buyer 1, buyer 2, seller 1, seller 2. So I'm representing the seller, so I'll come over here, and from the drop-down menu, I will select Tony Stark as seller 1, and then I'll select Pepper Potts as seller 2, and then listing agent, I'm going to select myself. You do not need to select buyer broker or listing broker, because our broker, Lynn or Alita and Mike, do not have to sign anything. So just put your actual clients in here, and then yourself as either the listing or the buyer's agent. And once you've selected the correct people, you can click on Add Selected. All right. Now it is adding everyone to the room, or the envelope. So let's talk about our recipients, and there's a lot of information here. So to the left of each one of the recipients, there's a box, and it currently says number 1. This is going to be the order in which people are going to sign. In DocuSign, we have the ability to adjust the order of people's signatures. So sometimes you can leave it all as 111, and this is going to send the document out to everybody at the same time for signature. Sometimes you may want to send it to yourself to sign first, maybe fill in a little bit of information, and then send it to seller 1 and then seller 2. You may want to send it to seller 1 first, and then once he or she signs, then send it to seller 2, and then once he or she signs, send it to yourself for signature. To change that, just come over here in the box and just update the number, select it, and put number 2, and it's going to reorder. And then I want to select myself as number 3, so I'll sign last. Now, you can have this in any order you want. I know every agent kind of has their preference on if they're going to be the first to sign or the last to sign. I will say one of the benefits of being the last to sign is that you can automatically make the documents binding. So if you're a listing agreement or buyer brokerage agreement, you can add in the fields, and I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. To make those binding, so then you don't have to come back in and retrofit the document to be binding. But some clients want to see that you are signing first, so figure out what works best for your clients. Then within each one of these client boxes, we have 2 drop downs. So the first one says need to sign. On that drop down arrow, it gives us some different rights that these recipients will have. So the first one is need to sign, then needs to view. So if they just need to see the document. The next is going to be receives a copy. So if after everyone is signed, they need to receive a copy of it, we can select this and then specify recipient. The needs to view, this is more than my experience has been if I'm working with clients and their parents are heavily involved in the transaction, and they're not actually going to be on title, but they're maybe helping with down payment or just want to be involved in everything. You can add them here, and you could manually add them here, but you can select them as just needs to view. So in that way they can see all the documents that we send out to our clients for signature, but they can't sign anything, they can't edit it, but it makes sure that they are involved in the process. To the right of that is more, and this gives us 2 options, add and access authentication and add private message. So add access authentication is if, let's say your clients are very, very cautious and they want to make sure that someone could not accidentally hack into their email and start signing purchase and sales agreement on their behalf and get them under contract, you can add an access code. So what you can do here is you can just type in a code. So for today, I'll just add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then in order for your client to sign, they will have to type in this code of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you have to make sure you give it to them. Or you can remove it and click discard. And then the next is add a private message. So let's say I want to send a message to just Tony Stark. Let's say he and I had a conversation about one of the boxes or one of the fields. Updated paragraph 10B based on our conversation. So now Tony will get this private message, but Pepper won't, and I won't get it. So that is how you can add a private message. And I can click discard. So now I've updated my my signing order for seller 1, then seller 2, and then myself. We all need to sign. One thing I also want to point out here, if you were going to send things in an order, every document needs to have a place for them to sign. So let's say I select myself, or let's say Tony Stark, I select him as signer number 1, but he doesn't have a place to sign on the community association disclosure, just making that up. The document will actually stop. It will not then go on to seller 2 and then myself to sign. So you need to be confident that everyone has a place to sign on the documents before putting them in a specific order. All right, so now that we have all of our signers here in the right order, we'll now do a quick message. Email subject. I'm going to recommend that you leave please DocuSign in the email subject, but what you should do is come up to the very top for the envelope name, just copy that, and then do a quick copy paste. So now it's please DocuSign, the property address, listing agreement, and purchase and sale. And this will let our clients know that they need to sign something that is for their address or the house that they're going to be buying, and what the documents are going to be, what they are going to be that they need to sign. Please review and sign documents. Thank you, Nick. So just put a quick message in there. I wouldn't recommend putting anything too long in there, and you'll see the email format in just a minute. But once we've put in all of our information, we've added all of our documents, our signers in the right order, and written our quick message, up in the top right-hand corner, we will click next. All right, so here is where we are going to double check that all the signatures are correct, all the initials are correct. Make sure that if we need to add anything, we can add it here. Make any quick adjustments. DocuSign is through and through an e-signature platform, so it's not meant to be a document editor. So while we have all these options of fields and text that we can add over here on the left, it's not meant to be able to come in here and edit the document and cover up text. So I just want to clarify that because I've had the conversations with a handful of agents about that. So you need to make sure that all the information is updated correctly in the Documents tab before you add it to the envelope. So our way around this screen, we'll start in the top left-hand corner. You can see here, it says Tony Stark, and it has a yellow circle. There's a drop-down arrow here, and it will show all of the people, all of the signers, and they each have their own color. So Tony's yellow, Pepper blue, myself purple. And as you select the different names, all of the field information here on the left-hand side changes to coordinate with that person. And this is so you can more easily identify who is signing where on the documents. All right, so there we have that. Below here are going to be all of our additional fields. So if you need to add a signature, initial, date signed, name, email, company title, text, any of that information. You can do that all here. Custom fields, which you probably don't need. Notary fields, which you don't need. Markup tools, which I will show you in just a moment. And then seal fields, which we don't need. Standard fields are going to be what you use 95% of the time. In the middle here, we have a preview of the document and all the information. And then on the right-hand side, we have thumbnails of the documents. So this, is a quick, easy way to see all the places you have signatures. So for today, I'm going to recommend we scroll through from top to bottom. So our exclusive listing agreement, we reordered it. The document's back in the envelope, so that's why our listing agreement is first. Let's double check to make sure all the information is correct. Good to go, everything looks great. Now we get to the bottom of the first page, and I need to add my name here. So I'm going to come up to the top left-hand corner, select myself from the drop-down, everything changes to purple. I'll come right here, I just click on name, bring my mouse over. You don't even have to drag it. It'll automatically come with you. And I add full name here. So when I click on, when I have this field selected, you can see I have some formatting capabilities. I can change the font and whatnot. You don't really need to do any of that. And you don't need to save it as custom field. Just leave it as is. And then to click out of this editing capabilities, just click back into the document and the thumbnails will appear. And now you can see over here in the thumbnail, there's a purple sticky note, very similar to like a 3M note that you would see on a document. It lets me know on page 1, there is a signature affiliation field. Perfect. So I'm going to scroll down. I can see there's no other places for signing. And as you get more and more used to the GAR forms, you start to know exactly where to look for signatures and initials. So page 6. Perfect. All right. Now we come to our signature pages. Signer 1, date signed. Signer 2, date signed. Perfect. Email address looks great. Scroll down. All of my information here is good to go. I have a signed, date signed. Perfect. Now I have the information at the bottom that would make this document binding. And I mentioned to you earlier, one of the benefits of being the last person to sign is that I can make this automatically binding. Because one thing that's so great and I love about DocuSign is that once everybody signs the documents, DocuSign automatically sends out copies to everybody. So in .loop, we would have to wait for everyone to sign everything and then send them out again or download them, because it is, by Georgia law, we need to provide notice and provide copies of all the documents and purchase and sales agreement that our clients sign. So this just takes out one hassle. So now, if I'm the last one to sign it, I can make this binding, and I'll show you how to do that. So first, I'm going to come over here. I'm going to select the date signed, and I'm going to add that right here. And this date signed is going to update the date and time of when I come into this document to sign it. But I have the text fields over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come right here and I'm going to add a text field. And I'm just going to resize that so it fits here. And then I'll come over here, select another text field, put that right here. And now I'll resize that so it fits. Perfect. Now I'm going to leave it blank, because when I go to sign, you'll see that these blank fields are updatable within the signing ability, or within the signing field or login. So you'll see, leave it blank, and then I'll be able to fill it in. So that way, once I sign, this will become binding and the documents will be automatically sent out to my clients. Is it possible to have one-on-one with someone in the office to go through this? Yes. Ramsey, you and I, we can set up some time to go through this one-on-one. Just reach out to me after this and we can set that time up. All right, perfect. So that is document 1. We have all of our signing fields. Over here in the detail are the thumbnails. You can minimize and maximize the documents. So that way you can see which ones and all the places they're going to be signatures. So we'll come through here. Now, this is really great. I'm so excited they updated this. Far too excited for it. You can see that there are all these little yellow boxes and everything is to be filled in. All of these fields are to be filled in by seller one, which is why it's yellow. So Tony Stark is going to fill in all this information. So when he is going through, it'll make sure that he has selected everything. So you don't have to worry about that. Oh, this is so great. I'm so happy that this works. One less thing that you have to worry about. Perfect. So he'll be able to fill in all the information with his association, all of the fees. Here at the bottom of the second page, we're going to add our name. Now I'm going to do something incorrectly because I want to show you how to fix it. So let's say you're just rushing through this and you're like, oh, I need to add my name here at the bottom of the field. You come over here, you select name, you pull it over here, and you add it, and then you realize, oh no, like I added Tony Stark's name, not my name. Well, when you're in the field and you have the editing tools over here on the right-hand side, you can see it says Tony Stark. Well, I can click on the drop down here for Tony Stark, and I can select myself, and it will change it to purple. And so now I know it is affiliated with me as the listing agent, and when I go to sign, it'll add my name here. So if you ever incorrectly put the wrong signature field or text field, you can always edit who it is affiliated with in the editing side, editing toolbar on the right, by selecting that person from the drop down. You can't, yeah, so Gail, you can delete it. So if you want to delete it, just click it and then hit the delete button. That simple. So you can delete it, and then I could come up here, select myself, hit name, and drag that over, and it'll now show my full name. So yeah, you can just click delete if you want to get rid of any text field or signature box that you add. But I just wanted to show you that you can, rather than having to delete, you can adjust who it is affiliated with in the right-hand side. Perfect. All right, so scrolling through community association disclosure, you can see over here on the tabs, you know, in the thumbnails, they have the yellow tabs, lets me know that seller one has to fill in all of this information, select everything. This is great. Perfect. We have seller initials here, coming down to affiliated marketing, signer, seller one, seller two, perfect. Identity theft, wire fraud, boom. Sign one, name, date signed. This is great. Now we're getting to our purchase and sale agreement. So we'll just scroll through here. Perfect. We have our seller signature or initials here, but I need to add my name. So I've selected myself in the top left-hand corner, click name, and then come over here and just drop that there. Perfect. Scrolling through to page 2. Perfect. All right. It's going to continue to scroll down. All right, and we're scrolling. We'll keep scrolling. Perfect. Our stipulations are in there. Our exhibits. Awesome. All right. So I can see Tony Stark is in here correctly. Pepper Potts is in here correctly. Now, I did tell you, I'm going to show you how to hide their email addresses. And what you're going to want to do is come over here to the left-hand side and select markup tools. And you can do this under any one of the signing profiles. So you can do under the seller one, seller two, doesn't matter. Click markup tools, select a line, and then come over here and drag this over, and then just add a line over their email address. Now it's going to be a small red line. Then come over here to the editing tools, and then we'll select color, select black, select thickness, and just make it thick enough that it blocks out the email address. And then you can click it and just hit it down if you need to. And then all you have to do is copy it. So I'm going to hit Command C and then Command V to paste it. So now I have 2 lines, and I will drag this down to cover up seller two's information, and I'll just drag it to make it a little bit longer, and boom. Now I have successfully hidden my client's contact information. Now I know this is not the most beautiful way to do it, but at the moment it's going to be the best way to do it. I've talked with Hutch, and he's working with DocuSign to see if they have a way that we can delete email addresses out of documents without deleting it out of the details tab. But at the moment, we can't. So I recommend this is how you hide your client's email address on any forms you will be sharing with your co-op agent. All right, so we've hidden our client's contact information. Let's scroll down to make sure everything still looks good. All right, so it is, I see here, it is missing my signature. So I'm gonna come up here. I'm gonna select myself, come back to standard fields. I'm gonna select signature, and I will add that right here. I'm gonna make it just a little bit bigger so it doesn't block up the text above. And then I'm gonna add date signed right here. Perfect. So the question is, can you hide that information after everyone has signed, or do you need to do it before signing? You will have to do it before signing. Once the document is signed, you can't come back here and edit it like that. So you'll have to do that. You'll have to add these lines over the email addresses before sending for signature. So question, why didn't my signing fields populate? So there's a weird issue here, and this has to do with the mapping of DocuSign. Because I'm technically in DocuSign as listing agent 1, and then I'm also in there as owner agent. This signing field here is for owner agent, so it's just mapped incorrectly. I'm working with Hutch at the region to get that updated. So just double check, that's what I'm saying. 90% of the time, all of your information, everything is going to be in there correctly, but just double check to make sure that it is. And if it's not, just quickly add your signature field. All right, so it looks like we have everything signed. And now I don't need to worry about the binding of this document just yet, because we still have to send it over to the buyers and all that. So before we send for signatures, we can click on recipient preview right here in the top right-hand corner. And this is going to load all the documents. So we can see, you can up here in the top left-hand corner, you can select the preview. So I want to see what it's going to be like for Tony Stark when he has to sign this information. I can see what it looks like on his computer, on a tablet, on a phone. And then this is what it's going to be like. So you can click start, and then boom, sign, boom, boom. And then it's going to have me fill in all this information. So that's what it's going to be like, just so that way you can double check to make sure everything looks good to go. So now I'm going to click send. So it is sending. Now I am going to switch screens real fast because I want to show you what this looks like. Are you able to see my email screen, or do I need to switch screens? Oh, I can't. Okay, perfect. Thank you for letting me know we cannot see it. Okay, so I'm going to switch screens, a new share. Perfect. So I'm going to click share. So you should now be able to see my personal email. I'm going to come over here. So I have set up Tony Stark, which is going to be my KWFA Tech email that I made, to be the first signer. So you can see here, this is the email from myself. Please DocuSign 1234 Main Street listing agreement and PSA. I come here. Here's my little picture, so they know it's for me. Please sign and review documents. Thank you, Nick. And then click Review Documents. And this is going to load the DocuSign document. So click just remember my decision for a day and click allow. And now remember, as I'm signing here, I'm signing as Tony Stark, seller 1. So I agree, click continue. It's going to be start. So I'll click sign. Now the first time they do it, it'll ask them to select their signature. They can do the auto-populated one, they can draw one or upload one. It doesn't matter. Just click adopt and sign. And then initial, sign, initial, sign. Now, one thing I'm noticing here is that we breezed through that community association disclosure. Let's see what is going on there. Maybe it's not working as well as I thought it was. Here we go, community association disclosure. Okay, perfect. So because these fields are not required, it's gonna bounce your client from signature to signature field. This may be a document for your community association disclosure to send by itself, so that way he doesn't rush through it. But then he has the option, he or she has the option to go through here. Is you just select all the information, fill it in, HOA, Nick. You can just type in whatever you want. But you can see all these fields are editable because he has permission as seller 1 to sign it. All right, and you can see here I added my name at the bottom, so it lets them know that I have the right to use it. So I finished signing it. I'm going to click finish. And it's going to ask me to save a copy by signing up. You can just tell your clients, no thanks, they don't need to. Perfect. So now I'm all done. Now that seller 1 has signed, myself as Pepper Potts, seller 2, get an email to please DocuSign. So I'll come over here, click review documents, and it's going to go through the same process. Agree, click continue, click start, sign. It's going to have me select my signature, adopt and sign, initial, sign. And this is what it's going to be like for them. So it's similar to .loop, that it literally just rushes you from one signature field to the next. But I want to scroll up to show you the community association disclosure. So you can see here that, based on the selections that seller 1 made, I check my box here, $5,000. Here's, the random letters I typed in here, that when this information goes from seller 1 to seller 2 is signing a completed form. So that's how those text fields work. So seller 2 is finished, so I'm going to click finish here. Same thing, just click no thank you. All right, so let me minimize. I'm going to share a different stop share, and then I'm going to share a different screen. I'm going to share my, come over here. Where is this? Zoom, share screen, Chrome inbox. Perfect. All right, so now you can see my work email. So now as the listing agent, I received notification that it's now my turn to sign. So I'm gonna come over here, click review documents. I'm gonna click continue, start. Sometimes it loads kind of slow, so if you click sign. Now remember, I added those text fields so that way I can make this document binding. So right here I have them filled in and they're required. So I'm just gonna put it's 11:30, so I'll just put 12 p.m. on today's date. Then click next, sign, and then finish. I'm done signing, so continue. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing on this screen and I want to go back to my other tab. So let's go to, where is that tab? It is this one. Okay, I'm going to come back to my original tab. So I'm now in DocuSign. I'm going to click refresh and here, and it's going to show completed. So my envelope has been completed by everybody. I'll come back into my Documents tab, and I'll scroll down. And I told you earlier that everything is going to default into the rooms documents. So you can see now I have the affiliated marketing document with a green check mark that says signed. All of the documents that have the green check mark in the bottom right-hand corner have been signed. Perfect. So now if I want to move affiliated marketing, my community association, my exclusive listing, and my wire fraud prevention, I want to move those into my listing agreement folder. So like I showed you earlier, I selected them, come up here to the toolbar and click move folder in a current room, and then listing docs and click move. Perfect. So now I have them organized. Now, let's say we are at a place, we want to combine documents. So I want to send all the signed listing agreement documents to my sellers as just one PDF and not 3. So to do that, roll over your documents, select them. So I'm going to do all of my listing agreements, scroll up to the toolbar, scroll over to where it says combine, and click combine. And we'll give this a new document name. So signed listing agreement 1234 Main Street Southeast. Now we want to have them in a specific order because we want the listing agreement to be first, and then, well, I guess I forgot one here, but it's fine. So what you want to do is just click on the name of the document and drag it up. So I have my exclusive listing agreement first, and then community association, and then affiliated marketing disclosure. I forgot to do the wire fraud, but it's fine. So then click save. My room is going to repopulate, and I'll come down here, and it automatically defaults to the room docs folder, but now I have a new document, my signed listing agreement. It's a PDF, so it's not editable. I can't do anything to it. But if I scroll through, I can just see there's my listing agreement. Scrolling through, here is the sign page, community association disclosure, signed, affiliated marketing, boom. Within here, I can do some document actions. I can click rename, edit, split, move, download. So here's how you can download your document. So if you want to download this to send it over here. Now let's say that you've received a PDF from a buyer's agent with all of their offer documents in one. Upload that into your room, and you can click split. So it's a binding agreement. You need to separate it because you know that Alita needs to see all these documents as separate documents. Open the document and then click split here. And this is going to pop up. And it's going to show you on the right-hand side a quick preview of all the documents, and then on the left-hand side you can name your document. So we'll give each one of them a name. So we'll do purchase and sale, and then you select the pages. So we know, and I know this is incorrect from the actual documents, but we'll select page 1 through page 8. Perfect. Then we want to add a document, and this will be CAD, Community Association Disclosure, and this is going to be pages 9 through 11. And you can see as you select the page, it highlights, and if you're not sure of what it is, you can roll over it and it will give you a zoomed in look. And then we'll add another document, and this will be, we'll just name it affiliated marketing, and then we'll do page 12. Perfect. So now I can see I have my 3 different documents. I'm going to split up here, and I'm going to click save. The room will reload, and then down here in my rooms folder, you'll see I now have my affiliated marketing, which I misspelled, my CAD, and my purchase and sale agreement. It auto-organizes based on name. You can come up here if you want to reorganize it. You can do added and by owner. So let's just select, we'll have added by newest. So now it'll have my 3 documents that I just split into 3 different documents. So that's how you combine and split. Now, the last thing, and I'll be pretty quick because I want to be respectful of your time and I know I'm going over. Now we need to attach these files in Command to send to Lynn and Alita for review. So I'm going to come back into Command. I will now attach them. So there's multiple ways that we can do this. The first way is going to be within each one of the appropriate documents. I'll come over here to the right and click Add File. This window will pop up. I will select DocuSign. And since the rooms are synced, it is going to give me the option to select folders. So I've selected root folder is going to be the main room docs folder, but I've put my listing agreement into the listing docs. So I'm going to select listing docs and it will help organize the documents. And then I'm going to look for the exclusive listing agreement signed PDF. I'll select that and then click Assign. So you can go through and you can add these documents one by one, but we know that we have multiple documents that we want to add, so we can select the attach multiple files at the top. Then we'll select DocuSign, and then you just scroll down. So we want to add our community association disclosure. So let's come over here and scroll down and find the community association disclosure here. We'll find the right one. Community association disclosure fees. Make sure it says signed and select that one. Rawls Group marketing disclosure. So again, just like scroll down and find the affiliated marketing disclosure, signed. And then Rawls Group wire fraud prevention disclosure. Again, just scroll down. Scroll down and find the, it's not show, okay. Make sure you can scroll all the way down so you can see all the documents. So then we select wire fraud prevention document. So now I've attached multiple documents, selected them from the drop down and click attach. And all of those will attach to those documents. Once you have attached all of your documents, then you come up here to submit to MC. I'm not going to click submit to MC because I don't want to actually submit this for review since they're all fake. Now, once you have done all your stuff in DocuSign, you submit it for review. If you want to go back to DocuSign, there are two ways to do that. The first is to come back into your opportunity, come back to the details tab, and then click on Go to Transaction. And that'll open DocuSign up into a new browser window. And I'll put you right into that room. And let me come here. Let me log out of this because I just want to show you real fast the other way to do this. So I'm going to close these. And the other way to do that is you can go directly into DocuSign. Now, once you have connected Command and DocuSign, you've already created your room, that is when you're allowed to go directly from DocuSign. So just open a new browser window, go to DocuSign.net, log in. Now it's going to put you into the eSign platform, and we use the Rooms platform. So we'll just have to move over to the Rooms. Right here in the middle, it says DocuSign Rooms for Real Estate. Click Get Started, and then the drop-down menu will show up from the top right-hand corner, and you can click Switch to Rooms. And this will take you into the dashboard of all of your rooms. This authorized window pops up all the time. Once you've authorized the first time, you're good to go. So just exit that. And then I'll come right here, select all my recently viewed rooms of 1, 2, 3, 4 Main Street that I've created today. And then here are all the documents that I have created. So that is how you can get back into DocuSign, either from Command or directly from DocuSign.net. So that is the training for DocuSign. So we went over everything from creating the opportunity to creating our room, adding information and details, adding GAR forms, filling them out, sending for signature, and submitting for compliance. That was a lot of information, and I appreciate you being so patient and sticking with me a couple minutes after 11:30. Any questions that you have before we move on, or before we end the training today? Anything you need to see again? Anything you need more clarification on? Please let me know. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me today. As you guys are using DocuSign over the weekend to fill out all your offers, please let me know what questions you have. Feel free to reach out to me. Send me a text message or call me. I'm happy to help in any way that I can. As you're playing around with it, also let me know what errors you find. So if something's not working, let me know so that I can work with Hutch at the regional level to get it taken care of, and it will help out all the other agents. So thank you so much. Have a great rest of your Friday, and I will talk to you all soon. Thank you.